Welcome to the Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 meeting of the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, this public meeting is available in remote form. And please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on WACA. And to participate remotely on the agenda that was posted at Town Hall and on the Ashland website, there is a link to join the meeting via Zoom, and also a telephone number to dial in if you wish to participate via the telephone. First order of business, 7:15 p.m. is to call the meeting to order and take a roll call attendance. I, John Trefethen, am present.
I, Nathan Band, am
Brian
present.
Forrestall.
Oh.
I, Brian Forrestall, am present.
I, Nathan Band, am present.
I, Stuart Siegel, am present.
I, Anton Takomarov, am present.
I, Ryan Sullivan, am present.
Excellent. We've learned how to do that and haven't forgotten it after these many months between our meetings. We have a public hearing on a special permit request on the agenda this evening, followed by consideration, improvement, and approval of our meeting amendments for November 28th of 2023, and concluding with staff updates and administrative matters. We will open the public hearing and read the notice that was published in the Metro West Daily News on March 26th and again on April 2nd. And the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing via Zoom on Tuesday, April 9th at 7:15 p.m. And the board will hear the petition of Adebayo and Adeyinka Ajala, and I apologize if I mispronounced your names, requesting a special permit applying Chapter 40A, Section 6, parenthesis, existing structures, uses, or permits, certain subdivision plans, application of Chapter, close parenthesis, of the Massachusetts Zoning Act, and Chapter 282, Section 9.3, parenthesis, special permits, close parenthesis, of the Ashland bylaws. The application seeks the expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming structure, proposing a one-story addition on the northwest side of the existing building. The property in question is located at 16 Windsor Drive, Assessors Map 0260, Lot 0117, in the Residential A zoning district. And materials may be viewed at, and there is a link to the Planning Department website. For more information or to submit comments, please contact Alvaro Esparza at 508-532-7930 or at aesparza@ashlandmass.com. And parties wishing to be heard in this matter should appear at the time and place indicated above. And that was by John Trefethen, Chairman, Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals. I see that we do have the applicant present this evening. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Ajala, and I hope I pronounced your names correctly. Please correct me if I did not. Let me just explain a little bit about the process that we will be going through this evening with the hearing. All of the board members have been provided with the materials that you filed with the Planning Department, as well as the building commissioner's letter concerning your application for a building permit, which he denied. What we will do is we will open the hearing, have you present your case, as it were. The board members will have an opportunity to ask questions. Once that is concluded, we will open the matter for public comment, and anyone who is from the public here tonight or wishes to speak can do so. We also have had an email submitted to the planning department earlier, or I guess late last week, by an abutter on on your road. And then the board will then, typically we will then discuss the matter and come up with some preliminary thoughts and findings, and then request Alvaro, our assistant town planner, who is with us this evening, to draft a hearing decision in accordance with the board's thoughts on the matter. Before we get underway, do you have any questions?
No questions from us.
Okay, very good. Don't be afraid to speak up loudly. We want to make sure everybody hears you. And one of the members on the board is old and can use the benefit of louder voices, and that's namely me. So there we go. Okay. Excuse me. As I said, this is an application for a special permit for expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. The letter of the building commissioner denying the request for a building permit dated March 21st, 2024, found, among other things, that your plans are seeking an extension in aligning the addition with the existing house, which is not allowed by right, and also that the proposed addition would have a bulkhead that will encroach upon the right side yard setback, and thus exceeding a prior nonconformity. You need to come before the Zoning Board of Appeals. And just to give you an indication of what the board has to decide, and you can perhaps address some of your comments and focusing on that, is that pursuant to Chapter 40A of the Mass General Laws in Section 6, and also Section 3.3.3 of the Ashland zoning bylaws, Section 282, subparagraph 3.3.3, the ZBA, in order to grant a special permit to reconstruct, extend, alter, or change a non-conforming structure, we have to determine that such reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood. And after all of that, I will turn the matter over to you.
Thank you.
So we have your application, and is there anything you would like, and said we've all looked at it, is there anything in particular you would like to add to the application, or do you wish to sort of stand what you've written in your application under the description of the relief sought and justification for why the application should be approved?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. My name is Adebayo, and this is my wife, Adeyinka. So you've said our names just perfectly fine for a first timer.
Okay. That doesn't usually happen, so we're off to a good start.
Well, yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily add anything. I'll just recap some of what you've said. We're seeking special permission to add an addition to the side of the house. We've lived in this house since 2015 December. We love the area. We love the neighborhood. We have very great neighbors. Our kids have grown up here, uh, and we see ourselves living here for a long time. So we've been trying to do this remodel since we bought the house. So it's been a long time in coming. We've been planning for a while. And we're here now. So what we're looking for is to get the special permission to add this new structure that will be flush with the existing structure. Unfortunately, the existing structure is in violation, as we understand from the plot plan that we've received. The front property setback should be 40 feet, and I think we're currently at 39.2 feet, so we're about 0.8 of a foot in violation. So the new addition that we will be building will, it will be aligned with the current setback. Yeah, we really love the house, and we will keep we'll try to maintain the aesthetic of the neighborhood with whatever work we do on the house. Make sure that everything looks fine visually, and not that's why we're I think we're going through the route, talking to the architect and all that. So thank you for listening to us and for hearing us out.
Okay, very good. Before we open it up for questions by the board members, sitting on the hearing, we have 3 board members that sit as voting members on the hearing. And under the statute, as long as the 3 members are present, they are the ones who will vote on the matter. And that will be Brian Forrestall, Nathan Band, and myself, unless any of us have reasons to disqualify ourselves. And if anyone does, please speak up now. Otherwise, we will proceed with Nathan, Brian, and myself as the voting members. And as always, Stuart, Ryan, and Anton will have an opportunity to ask questions and participate in the discussion. Well, why don't we start off with questions from the board, if there are any. Brian, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. This seems pretty straightforward. The pre-existing non-conforming in the front is perfectly acceptable to do what they're doing in my mind. And the 2 side yard intrusions into the setback, being a bulkhead and a staircase, a stair on the ground, aren't really part of the main house. And a lot of times they don't even count that. We don't have a special anything special in our bylaws that actually state that, but it's not like a gable end of a house is in the setback. So I think it's perfectly fine the way that it is.
Okay. Nathan, any questions for the applicant?
I'm generally inclined to agree with Brian. I do, looking at the plans, it's not clear how far into that 10-foot setback the bulkhead and the stairs intrude. I'd be curious to get a figure on that, or maybe I'm just not reading the plans properly, which wouldn't be the first time.
So we don't have an actual figure yet for the dimension of the bulkhead. My rough guess is going to be somewhere around 5-6 feet.
I'm sorry, sir, can you say that again? I unfortunately coughed as you gave the dimension.
Yeah, so we don't have like an actual figure yet for the dimensions of the bulkhead. But I did give a rough guess of about 5 to 6 feet.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And was there, just in the planning process, in the design process, was there any thought given to situating the bulkhead or the stairs somewhere where they wouldn't cause the intrusion into the setback?
We thought about it. The alternative, there are two options that we considered. The first option was to use a window well as opposed to having the bulkhead. But we really would like to have that exterior access to the basement. So that's why we started off with the bulkhead in the design as opposed to window well.
Because of the layout of the house, we can have this.
You want to- yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just jumping in.
Yeah.
Because of the layout of the original house, which is the splits, we really are limited on where we can put the stairs for the bulkhead. That's like the only option that we have, really. We can't have it anywhere else around the house. The architect did try to look at other options, but that was the only option we had.
All right. Thank you.
Stu, any questions?
I have a question about the building inspector's denial. I didn't understand his one sentence about the alignment of the new addition. Can someone explain that to me?
Okay,
Is-
so do you
I'm sorry,
want?
go ahead, sir.
Okay. So is that a question to us or to?
Well, I was going to say, I didn't want Brian to answer it, although I could, and perhaps you can correct me if I'm wrong. As I understood it, Stu, the new building is going to be aligned with the overhang of the existing building, which overhangs slightly into the 40-foot setback, but the new building is going to be aligned with that, so it would really be sort of create more of a straight line. That's what I understood them to say, and I see Mr. Adebayo is shaking his head yes, so I think I'm right in saying that.
Yes, you're correct.
You
But,
get that, Stu? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense to me because the building inspector has an objection to that.
Well, he has to object to it because the front of the building is already not in code. So, in order to keep the building looking correctly and in line, they're lining up with the pre-existing building, which is already out of code. And it's out of code by about 8 inches. It sits into the front setback by about 8 inches.
Okay,
So by rights, he can't just ignore that. He has to bring it up to us and let us decide as a board if that's an acceptable pre-existing non-conforming exemption that we can live with.
okay, I guess the board will discuss that in our discussion session,
Sure.
correct?
Yeah.
We certainly
Yeah.
can, absolutely.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay. Anton, any questions?
I got nothing.
Okay, and Ryan, how about you?
All my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Okay. I have just a couple, Mr. Adebayo. When I go on Google Maps and look at at your house, and I also drove by the neighborhood a couple of days ago, it appears that there's a wooden fence going from the back of the small building that's there to your property line. Is that fence going to remain?
No, The fence
No?
will, yes, the fence will have to go.
Okay. Um, okay, I think that's all the questions that I have. I'm sorry, the existing small little structure that looks like it might be like like a closed-in porch, that's going to be removed and be replaced with the new structure?
Correct.
Okay. Asking a question with an obvious answer, but here we go. Okay, I have nothing further. Any other questions from board members? Okay, before we will then open it up for public comment, and let me read into the record the public comment that was submitted prior to the meeting. It was an email sent to our assistant town planner, Mr. Espaza, from Roger Whipple, dated Thursday, April 4th, 2024. And it's addressed as follows: Alvaro, while I do not oppose the request for the addition, I do have some concerns. The main concern being the increased amount of groundwater that has been seen across the entire neighborhood. When we moved to the area some 7 years ago, our sump would only run a couple months of the year. Now it runs near constantly, and I fear that the increase in development in the surrounding areas has led to this situation. I do not know what additional impact will be felt across the neighborhood with the additional basement space. I'm also concerned that due to the wet and muddy soil, that the construction equipment will leave the area and muddy mess. I think that the town needs to take a look at why the water table in this area has risen, and steps should be taken to resolve that before we move forward with allowing this special permit. Thank you, and signed Roger Whipple. The email does not contain an address where Mr. Whipple lives. I asked Alvaro to check on that and report back to me. And I was told that Mr. Whipple lives at 4 Windsor Drive, which I believe is the opposite end of the drive that your unit is. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
That being said, is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on this matter, either in favor of, opposed to, or just questions? If so, please let yourself be known, and Alvaro will let you into the meeting. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Okay, is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, excellent. I, John Trefethen, vote in favor.
Hi, Brian Forrest, I'll vote in favor.
I, Nathan Band, in favor.
And certainly the other members can vote on this.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
Thanks,
Dr. Komarov in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, why don't we open it then for a discussion amongst the board. It seemed to me that most people and most members of the board thought that the granting of a special permit would fit within the criteria of not being substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood. But Stu, you had a specific question and wanted it addressed in the discussion portion of the meeting, so, or the hearing. So why don't we do that now?
Okay, well, as I said before, I was a little confused about the building inspector's statement about the alignment of the new structure. And I'm also concerned about the fact that it doesn't seem like the plans are really finalized. So with regard to this bulkhead, so is the board required to have the exact plans before we can vote on it? Or do we just say that there will be an ad hoc bulkhead added and with no dimensions and no specificity? I don't think we've ever had, a situation like that before. So I look to the board to clarify their views on that.
I think it would be certainly on our power if we were to grant the special permit to make as a condition the setback required by the stairs and the bulkhead is like not to exceed X number of feet from the side, for instance, and then leave that up to the applicant when they construct the project to meet with that condition. Thoughts from others on that issue?
Yeah, I would be in favor of putting the condition not
Yeah,
to
I
exceed
mean, I wouldn't
50%.
want to approve it and leave it open-ended so they could put a bulkhead, a foot from the sideline, the side yard boundary. But I think something like 5 feet or something like that could certainly provide specificity for the board, protection for the neighbor, and specificity for the architect to know what he or she has to do.
Yeah, we've definitely turned cases away for having incomplete plans before, but this seems relatively trivial. I'd be fine with a condition that says not to exceed 5 feet.
Yeah, I would agree with the with that. It seems like certainly on its face to be a relatively simple addition and not terribly complex. Okay, anything else, Stu?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, I think from what I'm hearing that we're all in favor of granting the special permit, finding that it doesn't meet the or it meets the requirements, that it doesn't exceed make it more difficult and more detrimental to the existing non-conforming structures in the neighborhood. In viewing the neighborhood, it is a residential neighborhood with 1- and 2-story houses that all seem to have been built around the same time and all well maintained. And it's a nice sort of side street neighborhood off of Elliott Street. If we were to grant the special permit, we also have to make those special permit findings under Chapter 282, Section 9.3.2, the criteria in granting a special permit. And there are the 6 things that we have to find. So if you don't mind, let me just give my thoughts as we go through it, and perhaps we can give Alvaro a sort of a heading on what we could find on that. Community needs served by the proposal would allow an existing Ashland family to continue to live in the same house with more space. Traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, would not appear to be any change whatsoever. Adequacy of utilities and other public services. I don't see they're adequate now, and I don't see there's any increase. Neighborhood character and social structures. Again, the neighborhood seems to be made up of houses that are similar in size and scope. Impacts on the natural environment. That might be covered by the neighbor's email and concern about water, but it strikes me that the houses are so far apart that it wouldn't seem to have much of a play on that. And then potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. And what we typically find in this is a brief increase in employment for the construction crew that's going to do the addition. No real impact on town services, and your tax bill is going to go up, Mr. Adebayo. Anything else that anyone would like addressed in those conditions for special permit criteria?
No,
No?
that
Okay.
seems fine. Seems fine to me.
Okay. Then why don't we do this? Mr. Adebayo, the way it works, we've had a discussion. The 3 voting members on the hearing are going to vote in favor of granting you a special permit with a condition on the side setback for the bulkhead and the stairs, so that there's a minimum that you can, or a maximum that you can get to the footage. What we will do is we will continue tonight's hearing and ask Mr. Esparza, our assistant town planner, to draft a decision granting you the special permit, and he will submit that to the board members prior to our next meeting, which will be on 2 weeks from tonight, which will be April 23rd, at which point we will finalize and vote to approve the decision. So although the application is going to be allowed and the special permit granted, there's a process we still have to go through. Excuse me. So that being said, would someone like to make a motion to continue the hearing until April 23rd at 7:15?
Well, I move we continue this till April 23rd at 7:15 p.m.
And is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. I, John Trefethen, vote in favor. Brian, you muted.
Sorry about that. My button wouldn't work. I, Brian Forrest, vote in favor.
I, Nathan Band, vote in favor.
Excellent. Okay, then the matter is continued until April 23rd. Mr. and Mrs. Adebayo, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda, which were the meeting minutes of November 28th, 2023. If we can all remember that far back. Alvaro submitted a draft copy last week for the board review. Alvaro, did you receive any proposed changes, corrections from any of the board members?
No, I did not.
Okay. Discussion of the minutes, anyone? Everybody all okay with those?
Yeah, they look good.
Okay,
okay.
excellent. Someone wish to make a motion then to approve the minutes of November 28th, 2023.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second that motion.
Okay. I, John Trefethen, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrest, vote in favor.
I, Nathan Band, in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Anton Takamura, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. That takes care of that. Last item on the agenda is staff updates and administrative matters. Alvaro, do you have anything to report before we get on to the comprehensive permit issue?
No, John, you can go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to talk about an email that Michael Herbert, our town manager, submitted to everyone on March 29th concerning a notification that the town had received by Mass Housing that they had received a site approval application from an entity for a 40B project at 10-60 Main Street Mill Site, and asking that, or submitting a number of documents that the agency had sent to the town and which Michael forwarded to us, and asking the various boards and committees that he sent the email and documentation to invite us to submit comments to the board. And the town has until May 29th in which to file those comments with Mass Housing. I've had conversations with our town planner and with our assistant town planner about this. Because any 40B project, and assuming that Mass Housing approves the application it has received from the applicant and allows the applicant to file a 40B application with the town, it will come before the Zoning Board of Appeals to hear. And in that sense, we will be in a sort of quasi judicial position. And there was a question that I had raised as to whether it would be proper for the ZBA to give thoughts on the matter when ultimately it was going to come before us to hear evidence and make a determination. What we decided that it probably, although we should be somewhat circumspect in our comments, we could certainly review what has been submitted and perhaps outline issues that we would like to see the applicant address. And in order to do that, we needed to put it on an agenda because it will be a public discussion. So it will be on our agenda for our April 23rd meeting. And excuse me, I just asked everybody to take a look at the materials that were submitted and think about, issues that we would like some clarification on or further information. How does that sound, everybody?
I think that's the perfect approach.
Okay. I know most of us sat through the 40B project by, I guess it was UCG, up by the Dunkin' Donuts off of Route 135, which was what I think was referred to as a friendly 40B. Before that, we had a 40B project involving the Valentine State, which was somewhat contentious. So this would not be the first time that we faced a 40B project. So we will continue that discussion on the 23rd to finalize perhaps some areas of our interest. And then the town, as I understand it, is going to put the submissions that it's received from all the boards together in a submission on behalf of the town. There is also a walkthrough of the site scheduled for this Thursday at 10 a.m., which has been scheduled by Mass Housing. Mass Housing is the financing entity for the project if it ultimately is approved. And I have indicated that I will be present for the walk. Michael's email indicated that if there were another representative that would like to participate in the walk, they could do so. Again, it's at 10 o'clock on Thursday, and I believe the members of the town that will be present will be meeting at the corner, not stone, but the corner instant there where they've got the big chairs and all the things near the city hall parking lot, town hall parking lot.
On the
Any
spot.
questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
Since we're potentially going to put it on the April 23rd agenda, if we have members of the public attend that meeting, wouldn't it be somewhat of an embarrassing situation where we don't have enough information ourselves to answer any potential questions that the public might have? And I'm sure there's going to be a heck of a lot of questions, in terms of.
There is actually nothing filed with the town. There's no application filed with the town as yet. And I would not accept public comment or questions at that meeting. It's not going to be a matter that's before us. It's just for us to formulate an opinion. And I note in the town manager's weekly email notice that or topic that came out Friday or Saturday, he invited members of the public to submit their comments directly to his office. So he's reached out, but it's not going to be a matter for public discussion before the board. It's simply a matter that we have to address in a public meeting, but that it's we don't have to allow for questions because we don't have any answers, and it's not something that's formally before the town.
Thank you.
I have one question. Do we know who the developer is that stands behind SLV Ashland LLC by any chance? I can't see anything in the documents.
I don't have the documents in front of me. Whoever signed the application that was submitted to to Mass Housing is the entity that stands behind the developer.
I spoke to the building commissioner today, and he is still unaware of who the actual developer is.
And again, that may come out further at the walkthrough on Thursday. Again, the walkthrough on Thursday is something that was scheduled by Mass Housing for them to view the location of the proposal. It is not anticipated that there will be questions and answers from members of the public who are present. It's Mass Housing's meeting, not the town's meeting, so they're going to be in charge of however it's run and whatever it's done. My understanding is this is something they routinely do once they get an application to get a better sense of whether the proposal is right for the location, et cetera, because those are one of the issues that's one of the issues they have to determine, and whether deciding to give the applicant permission to file a 40B request with the town. There is a section for all of us who received 3-ring binders with various sections of the law. There is a section in the binder of a educational writing put out by an advocacy group that sort of outlines what Section 40B is, what the ZBA roles are, what the roles of the state are, which I think I found it's a good refresher before something actually gets filed, assuming that it will. It's no certainty that it will be filed, but we're all anticipating that it probably will be ultimately permitted to be filed with the town. Any other questions about that? If not, I think we can perhaps have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Anton. I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I'm Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Nathan Band, in favor.
Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Anton Takamura, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good to see everybody once again, and things will be moving forward, and see everybody on the 23rd. Good night.
Great night.
Good night.
Thank you, Wacko.